On February 18, 2026, scientists published the most comprehensive analysis ever conducted of the largest active volcano in Europe, a volcano most people have never heard of. And what they found, buried in the data, changes everything we thought we knew about the hidden threat lurking beneath the most traveled waterway on Earth. The volcano the Mediterranean does not want you to know about is already filling. 175 kilometers south of Naples, 280 kilometers north of Sicily, directly beneath one of the busiest cruise ship corridors on the planet. A volcano called Marsili has been quietly accumulating magma for centuries at depths that no tourist has ever seen and no standard hazard map has ever properly warned about. No headlines, no eruption warnings on the ship's daily itinerary, no mention in the brochure. Just 70 kilometers of volcanic ridge rising from the abyssal floor of the Tyrrhenian Sea, its summit reaching to within 450 meters of the surface. A mountain taller than the Alps, entirely submerged, entirely active, and entirely absent from the public consciousness of the 30 million passengers who cruise the Mediterranean every year. Most people who have sailed these waters have never heard its name, but scientists have. And on March 11, 2026, the Istituto Nazionale di Geofisica e Vulcanologia, in collaboration with the GEOMAR Helmholtz Centre for Ocean Research, the French Research Institute for Exploitation of the Sea, and the University of Palermo, published the definitive study of what their deep-sea instruments discovered beneath the Tyrrhenian seafloor. What they confirmed is more alarming than anything the existing monitoring framework was designed to detect. This is not background geological noise. This is a system in motion. To understand the scale of what scientists are now confronting, you have to begin 14 months before the study was published. You have to go back to January 2025. The crisis that triggered Italy's most significant submarine volcanic investigation in modern history did not begin with an eruption. It began with a sound. In January 2025, a network of hydroacoustic sensors operated by the Centro Nazionale Terremoti detected a low-frequency signal propagating through the water column of the southern Tyrrhenian Sea. The signal did not match any cataloged source, not shipping traffic, not marine mammal vocalization, not seismic activity along the known fault systems of the Calabrian Arc. The signal was continuous, rhythmic, persistent across 72 hours of recording, and it originated from a precise set of coordinates centered on the summit of Marsili Seamount. Dr. Guido Ventura, research director at INGV's Volcanic Hazards Division, recognized the acoustic signature immediately. It was volcanic tremor, not the sharp crack of an earthquake, the sustained hum of fluid moving through rock, magma, or superheated gas, or both, migrating through conduits within the volcanic edifice at depths between 2 and 6 kilometers below the seafloor. No one outside the monitoring network knew. No alert was issued. No ships were rerouted. The tremor was not strong enough to trigger automated warning protocols. It sat in the data as an anomaly, a signal that required investigation but did not meet the threshold for emergency action. Then, in March 2025, satellite altimetry data processed by the European Space Agency's Sentinel-6 mission detected something that should not exist at these coordinates. There was a 3-centimeter rise in sea surface height across a zone 40 kilometers in diameter, centered above Marsili's summit. Sea surface height anomalies above submarine volcanoes indicate one thing: uplift of the seafloor, pushing the water column upward. The volcano was inflating. INGV launched the Marsili Deep Survey in June 2025. An international fleet consisting of the research vessel Urania, the German vessel Maria S. Marion, and the French vessel Pourquoi Pas carried out a 90-day campaign, during which they deployed 24 ocean-bottom seismometers, 8 pressure sensors, 6 hydroacoustic arrays, and 3 autonomous underwater vehicles across and within the volcanic structure. The instruments collected data for 9 months. Machine learning algorithms developed at GEOMAR processed the seismic catalog. That 9 months of continuous deep-sea surveillance produced the discovery that the March 2026 study was published to the international volcanological community as definitive. Marsili's magma chamber is not dormant. It is actively replenishing from a deep mantle source through a conduit system that extends 30 kilometers beneath the Tyrrhenian Sea floor. The chamber holds an estimated 5.2 cubic kilometers of partially molten material. That makes it the largest confirmed submarine magma reservoir in the Mediterranean basin. It has grown approximately 0.8 cubic kilometers in the last decade alone. The magma is not crystallizing faster than it accumulates. The reservoir is genuinely expanding. The structure containing it is not capable of holding it indefinitely. Marsili Seamount is the single largest volcanic structure in Europe. Not the tallest, not the most famous, the largest by sheer physical volume. The volcanic ridge extends 70 kilometers in length and 30 kilometers in width, rising from the Tyrrhenian abyssal plain at 3,500 meters depth to a summit that sits just 450 meters beneath the sea surface. If the Mediterranean were drained, Marsili would stand as a mountain range rivaling the Dolomites in height and exceeding them in breadth. The volcano formed through back arc spreading above the Calabrian subduction zone, where the remnants of the ancient Tethys ocean floor dive beneath the European continent. The same tectonic engine that built Vesuvius, that inflated Campi Flegrei, that feeds Stromboli's perpetual eruptions, and that powers Etna's lava fountains also built Marsili. They share a common geological parentage. They drink from the same deep mantle source. The difference is that Marsili does it out of sight. The volcano's summit complex contains multiple volcanic cones, calderas, and fissure systems spread across a summit plateau 15 kilometers long. Active hydrothermal vents discharge superheated fluids at temperatures exceeding 300 degrees Celsius. Mineral chimneys precipitate copper, zinc, and barium sulfide from fluids that carry the chemical fingerprint of a magmatic system operating at full capacity. The most critical discovery of the 2026 study concerns not the magma chamber itself, but the structural integrity of the edifice containing it. Multi-beam sonar surveys conducted at resolutions 10 times higher than any previous mapping effort revealed that the western flank of Marsili is pervasively fractured. Fault scarps measuring up to 200 meters in vertical displacement cross-cut the flank at depths between 500 and 2,000 meters. Debris fields at the base of the western slope indicate that partial flank collapses have already occurred in the geological past. The deposits extend 40 kilometers from the volcanic base, covering an area of seafloor larger than the island of Malta. The flank is not stable. The study quantifies exactly how unstable it has become. Dr. Mauro Coltelli, INGV, volcanologist and co-lead author of the study, describes the structural assessment in terms the research team debated for weeks before committing to publication. The western flank of Marsili exhibits structural characteristics consistent with a gravitationally metastable volcanic edifice. The combination of hydrothermal alteration, which weakens the internal rock mass, magmatic pressurization from the expanding chamber, and the steep gradient of the submarine slope creates conditions where a significant seismic or volcanic trigger could initiate large-scale flank failure. The question is not whether this flank has collapsed before. The geological evidence confirms it has. The question is what triggers the next collapse and what volume it mobilizes.